what is your plan for the small business community? And by the small business community, I not only refer to the restaurants and the small shops that you find out in the streets, but there's plenty of business to business companies
Mhm.
that are employing 5, 10 people
Yep.
across Montgomery County. Matter of fact, almost 80% of companies in Montgomery County are small businesses.
I've heard the number as high as 96%, or
Well,
something like 96% of all employees work for a small business as defined by 50 employees or less.
and yet the county doesn't seem to be paying attention to those companies. I mean, we continue to have the flagship companies like the Marriotts and the Amazons and the NIHs out there. And I understand, because one of the main drivers of small businesses is the ecosystem that you have to build around the big businesses. But how can you, as a council member, support those small businesses and bring initiatives to maybe improve that ecosystem, to improve procurement with the county, and even with other contractors that are required to hire small businesses to do to build to work on projects here in Montgomery County?
Right. So if you needed brain surgery and you asked me to do it tomorrow, you're going to die. Okay. If you need someone to be involved in the government and be responsible for building the economy, and you need me to do that, you're going to have more money to play with. Currently, I think there are 9 county council members. How many do you think have started their own business?
I don't think
The number resembles a bagel. 0. There's also only one attorney too, so that's another pitch I like. You get 2 for 1 with Scott. Good value, a lot of good value. So there's no one that can speak to the business community that has like their trust and speaks their language, right? We may all speak English or 6 years of Spanish that we took in high school, but don't really remember much. But no one that speaks, we don't speak business to each other. And anyone that has not been in business and you try and speak to the business community, they look at you very skeptically, right? So there's a trust issue with me there. Now, what I would do in the county is look at all the things we can do. So I would prioritize for small businesses, how does the county get out of the way? Number one. Are we asking them to do administrative tasks that are a waste of time, or the benefit is nowhere near the time we're asking the small business to put in for? In our industry, we have to do a lot of information gathering. We send them, the rent and all this other information, but it takes time to fill it out. It takes our office manager like a day to get Montgomery County all the information that they need for the properties that we manage. That's a lot. There's only 250 work days a year, so that's 0.4%. That's 0.5% of our time, just working for free to get the county information. There are probably thousands of things like that to get out of small businesses' way, to give them more time to focus on whatever their mission is. And then number 2, so number 1, we're getting out of their way. Number 2, what can we do to help them? Right? So, Miss Business Owner, and there should be a comprehensive outreach effort through the chambers, outside of the chambers. What would you need? Is it something small like parking? Is it having a bus stop a block closer? Probably a million different ideas there that we can go. And a lot of them, I'm guessing, can be acted on. And some of them are going to be hyper local. And I bet some of them, so I talked to a lot of people that own properties in the county, commercial properties, and that develop properties. And they say, Scott, it's not so much the money or the taxes or anything, it's predictability. If we want to build a building here, we compared to Alexandria or DC or Arlington or Fairfax, we know how long it will be. It takes 18 months to build our building. And then, in DC, it'll be 2 years before we got all our permits and everything. And in Virginia, it's 18 months. In Montgomery County, we don't know. Right. So that's a huge variable. And there are developers, they have a finite amount of resources, but they have options. They can easily find pieces of land in any of these jurisdictions and choose to put their resources there. And more so, they are not choosing Montgomery County, even though they live here and even though their offices might be here.
What about access to capital, which is one of the biggest hurdles for small businesses?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's something, and I'm sure we've had these conversations, but talking to both, traditional banks, but also the community foundations that they set up to get money into different areas. And why I think the chambers are so valuable are for that networking, right? If I know someone at M&T or Capital Bank or Forbright, the formerly Congressional Bank, or any of these local banks, to introduce me to their lending department, they're going to look at me, they're going to give me the benefit of the doubt. So I think that's, building those relationships are just really important. I mean, it's the old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And then I think there's a lot of fair lending practices that I'm sure don't happen, right? Again, a generalization. If a guy like me in a suit and tie walks into a bank and hands over a bunch of documents, I would bet whatever the minimum level of scrutinization is to do the loan, I bet that's what I would get. I bet if a guy in shorts and a t-shirt takes the same documents into a bank, who doesn't look like me, I bet that those documents get whatever the maximum scrutinization is. Same documents. So I think we need to look at fundamental fairness as well. But again, those relationships mitigate a lot of that.